I don't know if you've heard, but it's the King's Coronation this weekend. Whoops, sorry, I mean Coronation. Let me know if you will be watching it. I definitely won't. I've got plans to wash my hair and I'm bald. So that tells you everything you need to know. But we're going to look at some news today on this lovely walk. Beautiful day in the UK, sunny, out in nature. Look at that, gorgeous. And I'm not on about me, I'm on about the views. So we're going to take a look at some facts, stats. We've got lots of screenshots to back everything up. Don't just get hearsay on this channel. The horns on those things. Come and say hello. No, you watching the Coronation this weekend? Don't think they are. They're not sheep, they're goats. Nice house in the background. Now, it's impossible to find the exact amount that this coronation is going to cost because they don't want you to know how much they are actually scamming you. Now, some news outlets have said it's going to cost £250 million, with £150 million of that going on security. So this wasn't a good idea to come down here. Look at that. Total mud bath. Gonna have to be careful I don't slip over. Now, we're going to look into how much this royal piss up is going to cost each UK taxpayer, because that is exactly who is paying for it. You and I, even though they are one of the richest families in the world. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so the population of the UK is roughly 69 million people. Look, across a river here, look. And the cost of this event is 250 million. So we just divide 250 million by 68,890,488, which is the amount of people in the UK. And that comes out at £3.62. So that is the amount everybody in the UK is going to have to pay. Now, not everybody in the UK pays taxes, and not everybody is old enough to pay taxes. So we've got to do some other math. And because some of these rich people, they're quite good at dodging taxes, aren't they? Having offshore bank accounts and that. So they won't be paying anything either. Only 34 million people pay tax in the UK. So we've got to do that calculation again. 250 million divided by 34 million. And that comes out at £7.35. So every taxpayer in the UK is paying £7.35 for this royal piss up, even if you don't want it. Even if you're not going to watch it, you've got to pay. That's fair, isn't it? Well, like I said, that 250 million is going to be more than 250 million. A hell of a lot more. They just don't want you to know that. Just been stopped at speaking to a lovely bloke who owns all of this. Acres and acres of land. It is absolutely gorgeous. Now, the BBC are suspending the TV licence for this weekend, just so everybody can show this royal, joyous occasion. Aren't they lovely people? Well, I'm sure people said that about Fred West, Jeffrey Epstein. Am I putting them in that category? Damn straight I am. Really not sure how long this channel is going to stay up for. Now, the TV licence rob you of around £14 a month. Just at a stick. I think it's around £14 a month. I don't know because I don't pay it. I don't watch telly because it just programs your mind. It's full of crap. I just watch YouTube. And even if I did watch telly, I still wouldn't pay it anyway. So on average, it costs you around 46p just to have a TV in your house. Even if you don't watch the TV, you still got to pay that 46p to the lovely BBC. There's a rhyme for you. And if you don't pay it, they'll send a big scary man round to try and intimidate you. Doesn't work. He's not allowed in your house. I mean, I had an enforcer, I think it was about a couple of months ago, knock on my door. He was a big chap, just come out of the military, and he wanted to come in the house and see if I had an aerial. Obviously, I refused, but he wasn't going to try and force his way in because there was a big dirty Rottweiler standing behind me, and he was absolutely terrified of it. So, if you ever want to scare these enforcers, just get a big dog. Big dog. But I did actually have a chat with him, and he was an all right bloke. After that, he just said he'll write down that he came in and checked and that we didn't need a TV licence. Like I said, he'd just come out of the military, and this was the first job he could find. He said he hated it. So there you go. Find a job that you like, kids. Make sure the TV licence not 93p off your next bill. Don't want to be giving them more money than you should. Staying on the BBC, I wanted to find out who actually owned the BBC. So I did some digging like it did, got my shovel out, dug some big holes, and it was very cleverly worded in not saying that the government owned it, but instead there was a company called Departure for Culture, Media and Sports that owned it. So I googled them because I'm a curious type of guy, and guess what I found? Was a department of the government. And to operate, they get funding from charities and private organisations. And this should be a massive, massive red flag if ever you needed any more red flags in a story like this. Listed as giving them money is the Bill Gates Foundation. I think it's Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, when you've got a guy like that funding you, you know he's pushing an agenda. He is one of the most dodgiest men in the whole world. Now, I've got people trying to argue with me saying this coronation is going to bring in a lot of money. Now, the news outlets are saying it's going to bring in 1 billion to the economy. And yeah, fair enough, it will bring money into the economy because everybody's going to be traveling to London. They're going to be spending their hard-earned cash on food, hotels. There's even hotels that don't exist that are selling out. You know, it's bringing all the scammers in, selling rooms that don't exist. So yeah, it's doing good for the economy in a way, and it's also bringing a lot of scamming activity. So just be careful if you are going. So it's going to be bringing 1 billion in, apparently. Again, this number's probably inflated because the media have said it. But out of this 1 billion, the government are going to be getting 20% tax off every transaction, like they do in way of tax. VAT, which stands for value added tax. I'm not sure what value they actually add though. So say it does bring in 1 billion, the government are going to be making 200 million off this anyway. And if they really cared about the people, they would stop the tax on these 2 days as well, just like they've stopped the TV licence. They would stop charging businesses tax in the whole of the UK just for these 2 days. That would really boost the economy. So you've just got to think, have they really got your best interests at heart? And the answer to that is no. They are just trying to line their own pockets, as usual. Now let's take a look at the crime rates in the UK. Crime rate was actually up 8% last year. And apparently 75 people out of every 1,000 people that you see either wants to rob you or stab you. That's a hell of a lot, isn't it? So it's nice out here, no people. Shoplifting, not a surprise, was up 24%. With the cost of living crisis, it's only going to get worse. Wow, that's a lovely house. And that works out at around 4.9% of every 1,000 people that walk into a shop are going to try and steal stuff. I'm not sure where to get the 0.9% of a person. I mean, I don't condone shoplifting whatsoever, but taking a few pounds off these big companies that scam you anyway, yeah, it's not going to hurt them, is it? At all. And if you're doing it so you can feed your family, it is what it is, isn't it? It's becoming that type of world. You've got to do what you can to survive. I mean, I walked into the shop the other day for some sour Haribo. If you don't know what they are, put them on the screen now. They used to be £1. I looked at them and they said £1.25. I even thought about stealing them myself. I'm only joking, I didn't. But that is a 25% price increase just overnight. I'm not too sure how this audio is going to turn out. It's quite windy up here. So like I say, no wonder people are starting to rob. 25p increase overnight, just like that. Look, crop circle in the background. The aliens are here. I'm joking. It does look like a crop circle though. But yeah, apparently inflation in the UK is sitting at around 5.7%, not 25%, Haribo. Although real inflation is always higher than the government and the media say. They don't want to scare you, do they? They do not want to stop you spending the money. Now, like I say, I think these shoplifting figures are up because of the cost of living crisis, but because of a couple other factors as well. People walking into a shop know that security guards cannot use real force and hurt them, because if these security guards go a bit hard, maybe they don't know their own strength, and they end up hurting the shoplifter, then the shoplifter can sue the security guard. You go to work not knowing whether you're going to get sued or not. It's just no good, is it? What is the world coming to? And also, if it's a first-time offence and the stuff you have stole is under 200 Great British pounds, you're likely to get away with it. So again, that's not going to scare any shoplifters, is it? It's going to make them want to do it even more because they know they'll get away with it, and they know that they can walk into a shop, probably steal a pack of custard creams, get a punch in the face by the security guard, and walk out with thousands of pounds in compensation. Personally, I think I'm in the wrong job. I think I need to become a full-time shoplifter. Now, all this crime rate raising made me want to have a look into how many police there are and how much we are paying them. So I got my shovel out and I started digging more than a mafia boss. I found out that there are currently 142,145 police officers in the UK. They are full-time police officers, and the funding for the police this year is £17.2 billion. That's a lot of money, isn't it? So let's get that calculator out again and do some math. 17.2 billion divided by 34 million, which is the amount of people in the UK, the amount of taxpayers. And that comes out at £505.88. This is how much a year each UK taxpayer is paying the police to do the jobs. Let me know in the comment section whether that's good value, whether you're happy paying that much for the service you get from the police. How often do you use the police? I cannot remember the last time that I had to use the police, but that's just me. And tying this in with the coronation, I found a news article, which I actually can't find now to get the screenshot. It says around 10,000 UK police are going to be drafted into London for this weekend for the King's coronation. That is around a whopping 8 to 10% of the whole police in the UK. Sounds like a good opportunity for the criminals to get an easy shift in. And if you're going to London this weekend, just be careful. Do not get posting it on social media as much as you want to, because everybody wants to post absolutely everything they do on these platforms. But what you don't understand is criminals use these platforms to see when you are not at home so they can rob you. It's an easy opportunity. So while you're posting that you've just eaten a croissant in France, these criminals are rooting for your underwear drawer to find your deep dark secrets. And especially this weekend, they will be doing it because they know that most of the police force is in London. So there won't be anybody in the area to deal with it, or not as many. It'd be easier to get away. Hey, look, a swing. You shall have a go on it. See if I can get my fat arse in it. I can't. I like big butts, and again, I lie. So back to the Royals. And no, I don't mean those cheap, nasty cigarettes I used to smoke as a teenager, because they were the cheapest ones around. And £2 back then was considered expensive for 10 cigarettes. Can't even get 10 cigarettes these days. And I think 20 is probably £10 plus. The royal family's net worth is estimated to be around £22 billion. Yet we've still got to pay for this party. Now, if I basically did the same thing, walked down the street and demanded strangers pay for me to have a piss up down the local pub, just totaling around £50, I reckon I would get a couple of black eyes. Well, they could try. Hey, just let me know how this is any different. Apart from me only being worth about 21 billion and not being a cult leader. Now listen to this. King Charles Spaniel did not even pay tax on his 500 million that he inherited from the Queen when she went to sleep. Just to put this into perspective, if a normal person, a peasant like us, inherited 500 million, wouldn't be a peasant, would be then, but we would have to pay 40% inheritance tax on that. And that goes straight to the government. So off that 500 million, the government would pocket 200 million of it. Yeah, let that sink in a minute. 200 million of something your family has built up over years and years and years. They hand down to you, and the government are there with their hands open, their pockets wide open, saying, 200 million, please. Not if you're a fucking royal. Because there was a law passed in 1993 that states any inheritance passed sovereign to sovereign avoids the 40% tax. How noble of them. And they've got your best interests at heart, haven't they? That is a lovely 200 million you saved, Charles. Pay for your own fucking party. So even the sheep in the field agrees. And normally sheep like to follow you. And listen to this. Every single year, the royal family get an allowance of us, the taxpayers, of around 90 million Great British pounds. This is so they can travel, they can do the palace up, and basically live for free. Why should we be paying them to live when they are one of the richest families in the whole world? Nothing about it makes sense at all. Now, they do give their earnings from the Crown Estates to the government. The Crown Estates is their buildings that the taxpayers go to see, and they pay to see these buildings. And last year, that was 354 million that they did give to the government. But if you look at it in a different way, we pay the royals 90 million and then they give their earnings to the government. What do we get out of it? They definitely don't give it to us. Driving here today, I've lost count of the amount of potholes that I had to swerve. I drove past one. It was that big. There was about 5 homeless people using it as a hot tub. Look how beautiful it is out here. Sandstone. This is the last bit now. Just take a look at the screenshot and we'll see how the royals spend their allowance off us. They have a total of 491 full-time staff. Why you would need that many staff, I have no idea whatsoever. That is just fucking stupid. I'm not sure how many people live in their residence, but I'm sure it doesn't require that many staff. There's only so many people that can wipe your arse at one time. And these full-time staff were paid £23.7 million for the year. It's insane. And you know, because having that many staff is not enough, is it? They had to bring agency staff in as well, which cost 3.8 million for the year. And obviously these staff have to pay tax as well, 20% tax. Because I don't imagine you can work for the king and avoid paying your taxes. So just on these wages alone that were paid to the workers, the government made £5.4 million. Just one big vicious circle, isn't it? As stated before, we paid a royal family, who then in turn give some money to the government. Just like one big money laundering operation, isn't it? That most of the population are too dumb to work out. That's why they can get away with it. Please let me know what you think. I'm going to go and finish my walk in this beautiful sunshine. I'll see you later, guys.